Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mikhail, and welcome to yet another Misfits Racing League broadcast. Today, we're giving you the MRL Americas division as they make their way around the Hungaroring for round, I do believe is number 13 from memory, but don't quote me on that. And joining me for this one, just like last week, is my lovely Spaniard friend, Alex Bitto. Alex, how are you feeling on what is a very, very late night for you over in Spain?
Hello, everybody. Very good here in Spain. And well, of course, expecting the best racing as always here on MRL.
Yes, the Hungaroring, typically one that is a little bit more challenging to overtake than Silverstone that we saw last week. The circuit now on your screens, ladies and gentlemen. 4.381 kilometers, 2.7 miles, two DRS zones, 14 corners to assist with some overtaking. And Bitto, it's often described the Hungaroring as Monaco without the walls. Can you tell us a little bit why that might be?
Yeah, of course, a very tight section, sector 2. The walls are very close, not that much as Monaco, of course, but it's very tight, very difficult to overtake, and of course, the straights are as well very short.
Yeah, so qualifying is going to be extremely, extremely important for these drivers, especially if there is a little bit of rain in this one, which could always be the case. So this is indeed round number 13, Hungary. We are now officially over halfway through the season. Absolutely so. We've already been to Australia, Bahrain, Vietnam, China, the Netherlands, Spain, Monaco, Azerbaijan, Canada, France, Austria, and Silverstone last week. Next week, we will head to the legendary Spa-Francorchamps for round number 14, the Belgian Grand Prix. Then we will head to Monza for Italy, and then Singapore, Russia, Japan, USA, Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi. Now, just as we're getting the last few things ready to go, we're just going to have a quick look at the current drivers' standings for the Americas division. So the two Williams guys out in front with Becky B, the championship leader, with a very, very solid lead over his teammate, sitting on 211 points. His teammate Alex Yamamoto in second place with 133. 11 points ahead of his nearest rival, Rhapsody, in the Mercedes with 122 points in third place, and BTFU for AlphaTauri sitting in fourth place, the only other driver to score more than 100 points so far this season. Just in the McLaren has 88 points in fifth place. Zamis in the Ferrari has 58. So a solid gap between those two in sixth. And Arnhel actually only 1 point behind Zamis so far in the standings. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Skito, after his amazing performance last time out in Silverstone with the win of the race, shoots himself all the way up into eighth place with 43 points. Maxime B for the McLaren team in ninth place with 34 points, and then Tom Hawk rounds out the top 10 for Racing Point with 23. Then we have Vischer, Carmel, Mexena, Gabox, Twinkie, Chili, Striffium, Fizzymon, and Gorziek. The rest of the point scorers. And Holtzman, unfortunately, still yet to score a point in this one, Alex, but hopefully we will see him get the opportunity to score in this race. And I do believe we are almost ready to get things underway.
Yeah, Tolman still no points, so it could be today Hungaroring a very difficult track for some drivers, so probably he can really find a way to get into that top 10. Probably a crazy race as we saw in Tier 3, so be sure to check it back because that was one of the most intense race as I have ever commented.
Yeah, Hungary seems to do that. We had quite a few intense races last season as well. The one that comes to mind is both the Tier 1 race and the what was called the Club Division race back in the previous season. So definitely Hungary has the potential to really spice things up. But typically, like we were saying before, a little bit of a difficult track to overtake. So I think most of the overtaking, if I'm not mistaken, better is going to be done on the strategy.
Yeah, strategy is very important, and I will have a mixed condition as we had on Tier 3 or Club Division. You said of you really need to nail the strategy, and one even if it's dry, you can have a lot of variety on strategy, soft to hard, medium to hard, hard to mediums, hard to soft even. but it's more unlikely. But we will see what these drivers can do with this strategy and how that can affect on disqualifying.
Yeah, I see the countdown is now starting to tick down. So we will be in the lobby very, very shortly. Just before we do, a massive, massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing, !NLR in the chat. If you're looking to take your sim racing experience to the next level with, they've got some great, great sim rigs for you to choose from. But Vito, looks like we are just loading into the session now as we speak.
Yes, we are 20 drivers here on Hungarian. I think we have a couple of reserves. S King, I think it's one of them. He used to be a full-time driver for AlphaTauri, and he was actually a driver for Williams on Tier One last season, as well. I think he did his debut on Season 2, so we really know about this driver. He's really fast, and we will see what he can do here.
Yes, as a fellow Alpha Tower driver, it makes me very, very happy to see S King back on the grid, even if it is in a reserve capacity for the Pirates. But definitely a very, very fast Chilean, and should hopefully, like he's done in the past, give Becky B a little bit of a run for his money. And we have a few raindrops here, Beto, for qualifying here in the Hungarian for the Americas division.
It should be for intermediates, but this is wet race as well. Okay. We need to sit back, think about this, because we're going to watch another wet race on the same day.
Well, I don't think that's ever happened before in the Misfits recently. I remember last season, it took so long for there just to be like any kind of like significant rain. We had that one race in China for Tier 1, but I think that was about it until I think like Monza, I think was the next race after that had any kind of rain. So to have this much rain, we had some rain back in Silverstone last week, and now two rain races at Hungary. Ooh, these drivers are going to certainly just take a little bit more time, I think, to adjust their setups, especially since it is at least somewhat a weather affected race. I don't know if it's going to be rain for the entire duration, but
Seems like a full wet, but I'm really not sure about that yet. What I'm sure about that, what I'm sure about, is that I think this is the third race on a row for Americas, which has at least a little bit of rain. I think Austria had race at the beginning, Silverstone had rain as well at the end, and now this one it's not only qualifying, but it seems like full wet race for these drivers here on Hungary.
well, I think any one of these drivers who has actually put in the time to at least do a little bit of wet running is going to have a really, really massive advantage in this qualifying session. And since it is raining in the race, Bido, a full wet race for the entire duration, as you're saying, that makes qualifying even more important because forget, we say it's hard to overtake in the dry. Well, if it's raining, we'll basically forget about it.
It will be very, very difficult because it seems like probably it's not always for full wet, but probably can be as well for intermediates, as some of the drivers was saying on the chat, and that really can be a thing to have in mind because well, you really need to feel the track when it's drying up or when it's starting to dry to rain less. You need to really feel it and change to the intermediates, and that really can cost a lot of seconds per lap if you can nail it perfectly in terms of undercut or overcut between you and your rivals.
Well, Tom Hawk has just started the first flying lap of the session. I realize the sound's just a little bit quiet, but Bido, take us around a lap of the Hungaroring with Tom Hawk as he's making ways around the very damp and tricky conditions out there.
Very, very tricky right now on turn 2. You really need to take the apex, but you can miss a little bit to take the apex speed there to turn 3. You really can compromise that entry, and then full throttle down on turn 4. But now you have to lift a lot because look how difficult it is to put the throttle down. Now very, very difficult as well here on turn 5. He's really resting that car to not spin. now on the chicane of 6 and 7. Be careful to not jump into into the curves, because otherwise you can lose it. As it's really tricky conditions right now, Mikhail. Now on turn 8 and 9,
Ooh, a little bit of a...
he's really fighting that car.
Yeah, he really, really is. Purple sector 2 as he is the first one, but into the third sector. You could just see how much he has to wrestle that car. A little bit better through turn 12, but a little bit of a... I think it might be a rear left lockup into 13, and the car just really wants to step out of it. You can see how much he has to wrestle with that steering wheel through the final corner of turn 14 now. What's the first time going to be for the session? It is going to be a 1 minute 27.276, but then his teammate goes 1.1 seconds faster behind him. Arnhel, a 1 at 26.1 as the times are starting to come in, but I don't think we should be expecting too many competitive lap times just yet in the session. Becky B 2 tenths faster than Arnel as they are getting used to the conditions better.
It really seems like they were suffering on traction, but I don't know why. Because the rain seems like it's coming down enough to get these inters right onto their optimal range. As Carmelesson crosses the line just a little bit faster than Becky B to set provisional pole. But I was watching the temps of those inters for the racing point, and well, the rears were super hot. Of course, he was fighting the car, but still, there's rain. You can cool down the tires, and well, it doesn't feel like the grip is there even with the inters.
We're now on board with last week's race for Cascuto in the Renault as he's making his way into the final sector of the lap. What a performance that he had, especially with the strategy, and he's going to really need to pull out that kind of strategic masterclass if he wants to get back onto that top step of the podium, especially at the track. It's difficult to overtake as Hungary, and he slots himself into P6 on his first attempt, a 1 minute 27.080. Maxime B coming across the line with a 1 minute 28.021. And even in these intermediate conditions, Vito, some very, very close gaps already.
Yeah, you can see there just fighting for provisional pole. Carmelesson and Becky B really close, 200, I think, between both of them. The moment Rez was crossing the line, I think he didn't improve. But right now he's up into P6, 26.9. The reserve driver for Americas. I think he's Australian, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Rose, the Australian, in 6th place for the Red Bull squad at the moment, with a 1 minute 26.9. And I just love seeing S King back on that Alpha Tower, even though he is a reserve for this one. Just seeing him back in that Alpha Tower, I'm sure BTFU is quite happy as well. But he's got a purple middle sector, and what's the time going to be? It's going to be 3rd place for S King, a 1 minute 26.055, 1/10 away from pole position. And I think that's just a wake-up call to those around him that S King is back, at least for this one, Bido.
Yeah, it's really poetic to see him on the same car than he has been on the beginning of this season before jumping to the reserve capacity. So right now, a lot of drivers crossing the line, but we have still Gazia, Gabox, and Strifion not setting a lap. It is probably they're reserving on the pits just because they think these conditions are going to improve at the end of qualifying.
That might be the case. The times certainly are getting a bit faster. I don't know if it's going to dry up enough for it to warrant the slick tires, Bido, but yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, normally in these wet qualifying sessions, at least for me personally, I like to just do lap after lap after lap, just getting comfortable with the conditions, because if you don't really practice all like kinds of conditions, like all the rain forecast during your weeks of practice, there's normally a lot of dry running and then maybe a few laps of wet running at the end. But now these guys are going to have to really get a grip for the conditions out there, and if it's going to be even worse for the race, they really need to have as much confidence as possible. I don't know about your strategy in these wet qualifying sessions. Why don't you give us your takes on what you how you approach a qualifying session like this, Bido?
I would put a lot of fuel probably to do at least 3 runs on one stint of intermediates. So you split the qualifying on 2 sets of intermediates in case it doesn't evolve the track to be enough for dries. So you do half of the session with one stint and the other half of the session with another stint. So you just split it on the half, and then you have experience with two stints, and you reserve one for the race. And in this case, you really need that stint for the race because we see it's a wet race.
Yeah, Maxime B came across the line a little while ago as you were talking about it. Improves to P10. Very, very nicely done. And Fizzimon, 5 milliseconds ahead of Becky B in the Red Bull. P2, I think, is it getting lighter? I think it's getting slightly lighter. The track is definitely evolving at a rapid rate. And that also is another thing that is quite common of these intermediate conditions. And it looks like I have had been kicked out.
Same. Yeah.
So,
I had the same problem. I was gonna say Carmel Lesson improved 3/10 his time, so it was a 0.6, and all of his rivals were on the 0.9.
so we'll see if we can just get this up and running as soon as possible. But in the meantime, if you are down the channel, it looks like... Oh, no.
I'm in again. I'm in.
I'm in it, but it seems quite broken for me at the moment. So just bear with us in the chat as we try and get this sorted. But yeah, wet race, gonna be quite difficult to overtake and really just find and get to grips with what is going to be quite a difficult track in the wet conditions, because you really have to take a lot of those curbs to really find the lap time. Like take the curb, you know, the exit curb at turn 7. You have to really attack the curb at turn 11 and 9 and all that. So yeah, it's going to be quite challenging, I feel, to really, you know, get the most out of the car in these tricky conditions, better.
Yeah, I'm right now in the session, but sorry to say, but this time tower looks really weird at the moment, and all the times set before have been deleted on my view.
Yeah, you might
Of course.
just might have to exit out of it and then reconnect. That's what I'm trying to do at the moment. Seeing if that fixes it. Gotta love discovering new bugs in this wonderful game that we all love, is so dear to our hearts, and hopefully the guys over at Cody's can get this fixed before 2021. Okay, I think I'm back in the session proper now, which is great to see. So let me just get things back underway. And there we go. So I think this is the session proper. 6 minutes remaining. Well, in this qualifying session. Currently, we have Angel in the Racing Point sitting on provisional pole with a 1 minute 25.633. A great lap so far from the Mexican. And then Carmel is sitting in a P2, only 200ths behind him, Beto, with a 1 minute 25.652. Angel currently on an outlap as we speak, as we get things sorted out once more. And it's still raining as well, so I don't think it's going to be quite ready for dry tires, if at all.
Yeah, I don't think so either. There's a lot of spray, still raining. Even if it stops raining, I don't think it will be enough for dry conditions.
Becky B, the current championship leader, on his next attempt of a flying lap, currently sitting in 4th, 3/10 off pole position. You can just see how much he's resting that car through turn 10. Into turn 11 he goes. Sector 3 now, he's 3 and a bit tenths up. This is going to be extremely close if he keeps this gap, but you can just see he loses the rear end on the curbing of the exit of turn 12, Beto. And this is going to be extremely close.
Yeah, Becky B there flying now in turn 14 on the last corner. No DRS open, of course. We are on rain conditions. It's P3 and it's only 1/10 behind pole sitter.
Yeah, Becky B not showing the pace gap that he had in weeks gone by, that he had in the dry. Maybe he's been struggling a little bit in these damp conditions. Yellow flag, sector 1, I do believe that's one of the AlphaTauris coming out of the way. As S-King, hello, comes across the line. A 1 minute 25.663, 300ths away from pole position. But he's not on that front row.
It's so close. Just look at the gap. It's 30,000 between him and Angel. As we saw, yellow flag, I think it was someone letting Gauzy by. I was just going to set a lap in a few moments. He's going to start it. I'm on board with Fizimon right now on the exit of the chicane of 6 and 7. And I think he's really pushing.
Yeah, Fizimon in that Red Bull. Currently making his way through turn 11 at the moment. What's the gap going to be? It's 2 tenths up. And apparently it's purple. It's 2 tenths up. This is going to put him right next to Becky B. If he's able to find a little bit more time in this final sector, he could even be challenging those top 3. You can see the gap to leader on your screens right now. First to 12th in these tricky conditions is 1 second. Angel down to Rez. And that top 3 or top 4 now separated by just over half a tenth. As Becky B goes into provisional pole position with a 1 minute 25.598. We've broken the 0.6 barrier. And that is, oh my goodness, that top 4 bidder. Absolutely nothing in it right now.
It's so close. You said Becky B was probably struggling on these conditions, but it doesn't seem like. He's just putting himself into P1. And right now he's really flying. 3 minutes left-ish. For this qualifying to end, and when, as we were saying, it's so close, and I think everyone is just recharging, just trying to save the best to the end, and well, to see if they can cross the line with the better conditions.
Gorzieg yet to set a time in this session, currently making his way through the final sector of the lap. Typically one that has struggled a little bit in the past few weeks to set a lap time. But it looks like he's going to be able to do one here. Take it nice and easy through the final corner. What's the time going to be for the Canadian? It's enough to jump Twinkie with a 1 minute 28.817. But unfortunately not really much else more than that. And he's going to have to find a massive improvement if he wants to jump Cheery. About 1.3 seconds. As it looks like Twinkie actually comes across the line to improve to a 1 minute 27.045. I believe one of the McLarens as well was Maxime B getting on the 5th row right next to his teammate with a 1 minute 26.311.
Carmel Lesson just invalidating. He was not improvement entering sector 3. I think as well Zamos is now flying. Almost sliding there out of the chicane. So the Ferrari driver and founder of the MRL is trying to put himself on those top positions, but it's so close. It's so close.
Oh, hello, Sejos! I think the track is getting a lot faster, Biddo. Sejos coming across the line with a 1 minute 25.401, nearly 2 whole tenths between himself and Becky B, as Yama comes across the line to slot himself on that front row with a 1 minute 25.488. The track is now at its best. I think the rain might have eased up just the tiniest bit. But these guys are going to have to really nail these final runs if they want to have a decent qualifying position, because 45 seconds left on the clock, Biddo. This is it. This is the last attempt that any of these drivers are going to have. And S-King has to really get a move on if he wants to make this flag. He's currently just entering the 3rd sector on an outlap, Biddo.
Zamos just crossed line to go up into P12. Right now, not deploying any energy, so it seems like he will not be improving anymore. The Ferrari driver, yellow flag we have in sector 2, I think was McLaren of Caesars after setting that provisional pole, letting everyone go. And another yellow flag, I think was somehow really pushing hard.
Yeah, both racing points causing those yellow flags. It looks like Tom Hawk has actually crashed out from the session.
Yeah.
And he spun it at the last corner. Strithium comes across the line, the first to catch the checkered flag. Will stay in 19th place with a 1 minute 27.7. And then we have Gabox shooting up into 9th place. We see one of the Haas cars. I do believe that might be Cheery. No, it's not. It's Carmel. What time can he do? It's pole position. At least provisionally, with a 1 minute 25.2. Can you see? But Juan Williams heading into the pits. That's Yama. He is not going to be improving. And they have a Red Bull as well at the entry of the pit lane. That I do believe is Rez. So he won't be finishing his time. Now, Casquito making his way into the pit lane. He won't be improving on his time. Neither will Zamis. As Zamis heads into the pit lane, then as we have one of the Mercedes coming around. Gorzieg, but he's invalidated, so he won't be improving. Chiri coming into the pits as well. All these guys coming into the pits, so they're not happy with these final runs. Fizzymon the next.
Yeah, Fizzymon the next one to cross the line. I think they did the last one, or probably one. Oh, they're going all to the pits. It seems like probably the truck was not evolving that much.
Yeah, so Fizzymon into the pits as well, but I think that's one of the AlphaTauris. It is S-King. What can he do? Can he snatch that pole position away? He can! With a 1 minute 25.186. A great effort there from the Chilean in that AlphaTauri car as a reserve driver. It looks like Rhapsody came across the line. Only good enough for 9th place is the Brazilian. A 1 minute 25.941. Strifian, and I do believe, actually, with that, Strifian comes across the line once more. That is our grid. So S-King and Carmel on the front row, and Becky B with what I do believe might be one of his worst qualifying to date, with a 5th place start.
He really needs to climb back on this grid. We know he can do it, and of course now, well, the thing is everyone will get the same strategy, medium to hard. Probably someone will try different with hard to medium, but it's so close. Just look at the gaps now. Qualifying, it's an intermediate. You can do a lot of mistakes on the situations, and even though the gaps are not that big.
Yes, well, if I do remember, it is a wet race, so it might be even a bit harder for Becky B to really make up that ground. But it is S-King, his former championship rival at the start of the season, on pole position with an astonishing lap of 1 minute 25.186, and Carmel, the Argentinian, lining up alongside him on that second row for the Haas team. C-Joss will take 3rd place on this grid for McLaren with a 1 minute 25.401, 2 tenths away from S-King and Yama. The second Williams car will be on the second row with him. They have Becky B, Arnhel, BTFU, Fizzymon, Rhapsody, and Gabox rounding out the top 10. Then Casquito in 11th, Maxime B in 12th, Zamis, Tom Hawk, Rez, Twinkie, Holtz, etc. And we will go through the little last bit of the grid on the formation lap. Wow, what a lap from not only from S-King, but also from Carmel, and it's gotten even heavier for the race.
Oh my god! I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. It seems like it's going to be a safety car for this rain.
Yeah, it is really pouring down in Budapest, and Rez and Yama are both saying we're good to go. And yeah, so I don't think this will be intermediates, but I think these will be the full wet tires, the blue walled wet tires, and yeah, that can disperse. I believe it's about 85 liters of water per second with the aggressive tread that they have. But
I think
they definitely will need to remove that much water if it keeps raining like this. I can tell you that right now.
they will be on a boat. It's not a car anymore. It's a boat. I really don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say.
But it is the answers.
Oh god. Then
Except for one driver. We have one driver on the wets, just like Gasly was in that top 5 or 7 or whatever it was for Imola. We have BTFU starting on the wet compound tires. Everybody else is on those intermediates, and it is raining quite heavily.
I think it's a mistake at the moment. But you really don't know. You really don't know if it's a mistake till you make it. So probably it can be just a crossover point, because just look at the rain. Like it can't be for wets. Like we were really surprised when we saw the interiors, because and I think I really don't know, because the recommended tire, of course, as you can see on the grid, is the intermediate. Everyone is on the intermediate except BTFU on 7th place on the AlphaTauri with the full wet tires. But it's a risky strategy. But if it works, if this works, this can be mega, That can be huge for AlphaTauri and of course for BTFU. We know him to be one of a very good driver on the wets, and probably he can prove it now.
Yes, he is. Despite living in the desert of the United States, he is quite the rain master himself. Has gone some of his best drives in these tricky conditions that we see from the offboard. S King drifting it through the second to last corner, trying to get some temperature into those intermediate tires. But yes, this grid for the race: S King and Carmel on the front row of the grid, Sejos and Yama on the second row, and then we have the championship leader Becky B with one of his worst qualifying positions to date in 5th place. Angel in 6th. BTFU the only driver on the wet compound tires in 7th for AlphaTauri. Fizzymon in 8th for Red Bull. Rhapsody in 9th for Mercedes. Gabox in 10th for the Alfa Romeo, rounding off the top 10. Casquito and Maxime B in 11th and 12th respectively. Zamas for the Scuderia in 13th. Tom Hawk in 14th. Rez, the other reserve on this grid, in 15th. Twinkie in 16th for Renault. Holtz in 17th. Chiri in 18th. Striffium in 19th. And Gorzieg will round out the rear of this grid. A quick shout out to our partners, Next Elevation, !NLR of the chat. If you are excited, leave your predictions as well for the win of this race. But as the cars are getting shuffled back into their grid slot, we should be getting underway fairly shortly. It's never a good sign when there's just green flags and the lights aren't showing. Maybe one of the drivers having a few connection issues. But hopefully these can get resolved very, very quickly. And yeah, a bit anticlimactic, but we should be getting underway hopefully very, very soon.
I'm on board with BTFU on the tires. The temperatures are going really, really down. I think it's 33 degrees as it's shown. I'm really not sure if that's possible at this moment. But they're really, really cold. They're really, really cold.
Yeah, I think all of these drivers are going to have extremely cold tires, which is going to make it even more challenging off the start. Not 100% sure what is causing the delay. If you're able to look a little bit into that better, that would be greatly appreciated. But just, yeah, they're not moving. Okay, so Twinkie looks like was causing the issue. We have 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Hungary. All these drivers are going to have really cold tires, and they go out extremely quickly. It's lights out, and away we go for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Looks like Carmel has gotten off to a decent start, as has S King, but it looks like the racing point of Angel has had a horrible, horrible start down there in 7th place. Looks like yeah, they're all making their way through turn 1 fairly cleanly. It was S King leading the way. Becky B has had a pretty decent start all the way up into 3rd place already. He's now looking around the outside of Sejos, heading into turn 2. Can he find the grip that he needs on that outside line now, running on board with the Williams? Yes, you can, and you can just see from the onboard how treacherous these conditions really are. And there's the yellow flag. There's a massive crash behind them. I think that's Zamas, AI car of Twinkie, and Gorzier getting a little bit caught up in that. And that is the Ferrari sideways across the track. 5-second penalty for the Ferrari driver. Absolutely a disastrous start to the race for him. But as these guys making their way through the chicane now, looks like Sejos missing his braking point slightly, as has the Williams of Yama, both cutting the chicane there just a little bit. And they are just trying to find as much grip as they can and trying to get the temperature into the tires as quickly as possible, Biddo.
His losing on that star. He just didn't find the grip on the line.
Yeah, so we'll just get the position changes on your screen right now. So Becky B up to Striffium, though, the massive winner out of that kerfuffle. He's up 4 positions, up from 19th into 15th as we start the second lap of the race. S King and Carmel have stayed line astern in those front two. Becky B up into 3rd place. And it looks like I've lost connection to Steam. That's absolutely amazing. So we'll get that through. But video, give these guys a nice radio cast while we try and get things sorted, if you please.
Yeah, asking still on the lead. Carmel is on following, and they're really, really stretching that gap between 2nd and 3rd place. Becky B is still 1 second. Oh, almost losing car out of turn 4. The American Now CEST as well very close, but they are really keeping the pace between each other. Of course, there's no DRS train; it's just slipstream train at this moment. And BTFU, surprisingly, he's keeping the pace. He's the only one on those full wet compounds, and probably that can be a bad point to be in because it seems like the rain will ease up from here and not getting well, it won't get heavier. So at the moment, BTFU should make the best of this full wet compound at this moment, and probably then after that use the intermediates as they should be as he should be using it now. But it doesn't seem like it's yet for intermediates, and the full wets are still working.
Yeah, so now back into the session for you lovely viewers out there. The position change is still there on your screen. It looks like the top three haven't really changed. CEST still in 4th place. Angel and BTFU both up 1 position. Rhapsody up 2 as he actually is sizing up a move on BTFU. Down the inside goes the Brazilian on the AlphaTauri. Can he find the grip that he needs to really make that move stick? BTFU is trying to fight it as much as he can. Can he find the traction? He can, but it's not quite enough. Rhapsody, a nice move indeed to get past that AlphaTauri. And it looks like BT might be starting to struggle a little bit on those wet compound tires. But looking at the onboard from Fizimon behind him, it is absolutely dreadful out there on the circuit at the moment, Vito.
Yeah, it seems like he's not getting bad exits, but then the strength and speed of the interior is just better, and you can see there the grip. He's understeering on turn 5. Fizimon will take that every day of the week at this moment, so he's up into P7, the Red Bull BTFU. It seems like right now he's struggling. Didn't seem at the beginning, but now he's just understeering on every corner.
Yeah, Yama trying to make his way past around the outside of turn 9. You don't see that one off, and then BTF using the wall. BT
there was
has
contact.
Yeah, I don't know.
There was contact between Casquito and him.
Oh no! So BTFU now into the wall, has a damaged front wing, and he will need to get that replaced and probably put on a set of intermediate tires to boot. And you can just see him understeering off there. Stryfium should be able to get past him, no worries whatsoever. But these top two are very, very close. But Becky B setting the fastest lap of the race so far with 1 minute 29.961. So it looks like he's starting to get acclimatized to these conditions better, and he is starting to reel in these top two at a rate of knots.
Really, really close. This top 3. Becky B closing. We got BTF with 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so no grip at all for that AlphaTauri. But his teammate, of course, right now in a reserve capacity, asking, leading this race, and it doesn't seem like it will be changing right now because he's really setting the pace and he's really pushing.
Yeah, you can see he's used a little bit of that battery, but Becky B has certainly used a lot more of it. Battery management, very, very big around here in the dry. In the wet, it's not quite as much of an issue as you are on the brakes, but that's slightly a little bit longer, and it's a bit easier to recharge as opposed to the dry. In the dry bit, it's very, very difficult to get that ERS back once you've spent it. But all these three are just holding line astern, just trying to find their rhythm. They are pulling away from CEST fairly quickly, but CEST has a decent gap back to Angel in 5th place at the moment. But yeah, I think those top 3 actually are the closest few on track. Cheery getting a bit close to the back of Holtzman in this battle for 15th place. And actually Stryfium is still trying to pull away from these two behind him as well in the lower echelon of the grid, as S-King showing the pace that he has with a new fastest lap, slightly faster than the one that Becky B did the lap previous.
Yes, Yamamoto as well. Really closing the gap between him and Fizimon. After both of them overtaking the AlphaTauri of BTFU, they were getting closer and closer between each other. Yama, it seems like, well, I think he's the second driver on the championship behind his teammate. And well, right now he really wants to make those points as well for Williams, not only his teammate, but as well, having a contribution to that team constructor championship.
Yeah, Williams doing very, very strong in the combined constructors, and you can just see on your screens there that Yama losing the rear end, not only out of turn 4, but turn 5 as well. He's really wrestling that car and really pushing it as much as he can to really close this gap to the Red Bull in front, but he keeps losing that rear end bit. That car seems very unstable for these conditions right now.
Probably, Well, I don't think it's trash setup. Of course, no. They had the qualifying as well on this condition. Cheering now doing the move on told. It's very close on this sector too.
Oh, they're still side by side through turn 9. Cherry has to go a little bit off the track, but halts. He finds that position still. Strifium using that opportunity to break away just a little bit. But these two are staying firmly to the back of him, and Cherry, it was a good attempt, Bitter, I'll give him that, but it just wasn't quite enough to make his way past. He's trying to open up turn 13 as much as he can, really daring to try and put the power down on those curves, eh, Bitter?
Really difficult, and I think he switched his input. He was used to be on a controller, and now he's on a wheel, and he's learning, but still, well, of course, on the rain you can really learn a lot, and he's doing it right now, pushing, still on track, and still gaining some lessons on this rain.
Yeah, a few of these drivers still trying to get to grips with the conditions out there. We are now on lap 6 of 35. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Misfits Racing, as there's a Red Bull in the wall. I think that might be Rez, and it is. It's Rez out of turn number 3 in the run for turn 4. He's able to get that car moving once more. No virtual safety cars or safety cars to speak of. And he's gotten away with no damage as well, Bido. How crazy is that?
I think he did a perfect 180, and then, well, another one to put the car turning in the right position. It's lucky at the same time that unlucky, because the traction on turn 3 is really difficult, and you can see it right now down into P17. The Red Bull reserve driver for today on the seat of Max Hanna. His teammates, meanwhile on P7, just 10 places ahead of him.
Yeah, we're just having a nice helicopter shot of the Red Bull as he's trying to recover. And you could just see on your screens, just the rain is still really, really coming down. I do believe BTFE would be on those intermediate compound tires. Yeah, so everyone's on the intermediates now. Currently, the top 3 still haven't changed a little bit. But Becky B, looks like he's falling back a little bit. And that's something we're not used to seeing here in the Americas division. Becky B being the clear favorite for the race win on multiple occasions this season. Not quite as dominant as some of the other drivers in some of the other divisions, but has certainly been very, very strong. But it looks like he might be struggling a little bit with the pace in these first few laps of the Hungarian Grand Prix, Bido.
Yes, it seems like now closing a little bit the gap, but it's still there between 0.6 and 1 second. I really doesn't want to be more than 1 second away, because otherwise you can't benefit that much of the slipstream on the run into turn 1 and the run into turn 2. So he wants to be as close as he can, and you can see it on his ERS management. He's really pushing more than at least S-King was on 100% battery.
Yeah, S-King on 100% battery at the moment. That's something you normally don't really want to see. It means that you really are leaving some time on the table, but he's making it work, and he's showing some great pace in these intermediate conditions. Looks like Cheery was getting a little bit close to the back of Holtz, but a little bit of a mistake there for the Spaniard. Means he's dropped it back a few tenths, so we'll have to wait at least another lap for another attempt, which makes the closest gap on the track currently the one between our 2 leaders at the moment, Bido. So these two are definitely driving very well there, but you can also see that Carmel has underfueled the car, that yellow light in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, ladies and gentlemen. That means that he will have to save at least a little bit of fuel throughout this race, but in these conditions, Bido, I don't think that will be too hard to manage.
Yeah, of course, you have all the sector too. From turn 4 to turn 12, you really can't go on lean. And more on these conditions, of course, you don't really want that wheel spin, as Rez is really close to the back of Gaziek. Wants to try it now in turn 2, but probably a better exit of this corner. Well, not even
Gauzy's gone deep. Gauzy's gone deep. Rez has to get out of the power to avoid hitting the Mercedes. But he's getting very, very close indeed. You can just see the pace difference that there is between the 2 drivers. And yeah, Rez really being held up right now as BTFU set the fastest lap of the race so far just a little while ago. But I don't know if something's happened with S-King, or Becky B has just really pulled them in this last lap. But Becky B, that gap has gone from about 8 tenths to 4 now. So we have a fight on our hands. And C-Joss is, while he's not making inroads, he's not really closing the gap that much. He isn't really he isn't really falling back off the pace, and Becky B like I was saying there, fastest lap the race so far as Angel is also flying in that racing point video. A 1 minute 29.165, the fastest lap so far in these top three. Nothing separating them at the moment.
Bad exit for Becky on turn 1. 2 tenths lost, it seems there. And now the gap still remains the same as all of these laps. Right now, lap 9 of 35. Oh, Becky a little bit shaky. They're out of turn 3. But at the moment, everything seems good there for the Williams driver. But the ERS management is still a little bit critical. Not yet.
Here's Rez.
But could be.
Here goes Rez up the inside of Gauzy again to turn 1. The Red Bull recovering after his little mistake a couple of laps ago. And yes, that is a very clean move. Done and dusted, and Rez, the Australian, now up into 16th place. And next on his hit list, well, it is the Spaniard of Chile, 1.5 seconds ahead. But nice move there from the Red Bull.
Yeah, he's really trying to do the comeback after that mistake 2 laps before on turn 3, and now really pushing hard to get where he was. Meanwhile, Yamamoto having a 3-second time penalty, that can be very critical at the end. If there's any safety car or BSC, or well, it can have a huge impact on the strategy, of course, at the end of this race, where the time is added to your race time, basically.
Yeah, you never really want to get penalties this early in the race. We'll have a quick look at the penalties for a brief moment. So he's not the only one to have a 3-second penalty. It was also the racing point of Tom Hawk in 12th place. He has 3 seconds. And then our back three all have penalties. It was Samus with 5 for that severe collision with Twinkie on the opening lap. BTFU has 8 seconds, I believe. 1 3-second time penalty for some track limiters. Actually, he's making a move on Zamis. It looks like Zamis made a little bit of a mistake. I'm not 100% sure on that, but BTFU making his way past the Ferrari. But yeah, with that 8 seconds, he's going to really have to put his foot down to the floor and really push that car as hard as he can to really just get any kind of gap that he needs. But it's going to be very, very difficult to overcome those penalties should there be a safety car at the end of the race, like you were saying, Bido.
Yeah, of course, we can see that. We saw that on tier 3. Right now, doesn't seem likely, but we have some trains here and there. One is led by Strifium on P13. He has 4 cars behind him. And as well here on the lead, which is led by Eskin, who is really pushing at this moment, still keeping the same pace it seems from the beginning. And CEST is actually closing the gap between him and Becky B.
Yeah, Sejos really starting to come into his own in these conditions. I don't know if it's SK just struggling just a little bit or trying to preserve the tyres as much as he can, but they are really going faster as the fastest laps are all coming in. I think the rain has certainly gotten lighter, Bido, and I think the lap times are really starting to reflect that. Sejos now within that 1 second of the top 3. So I think this interesting, oh my goodness, this race has just gotten really interesting indeed. Angel slowly closing the gap as well. Rhapsody not as much, currently sitting 2.1 seconds behind the Mexican in that racing point. But yeah, it looks like Rez has caught up to the back of Cheery, but I don't know if he's going to really have the speed that he needs to make the same lunge that he had, that he did on Gorziak a few laps ago. But yeah, Strifium, so far the the largest gainer from the start of this race, up 6 positions, up into 13th place, Bido. So a very, very solid effort from the Ferrari driver thus far.
Really good effort from him. Right now, they're on P13. Fastest lap stands for Angel. I think he did it just on the last lap, lap 10, because it seems like this track is really improving. So we will see what is going to happen, because yeah, it seems like it's just look at the skies easing up a little bit. That rain, probably we can see not soon, but well, probably another set of intermediates to the end, as there's a yellow flag.
That's Zamis in the Ferrari. He's lost at the exit of turn 5, and I wouldn't be too surprised if he's just clipped that inside curb, or maybe even the outside curb in these tricky conditions, and just completely lost the rear end of that car. But that is a lot of damage on that Ferrari front wing, Bido.
Very bad luck for him. He had the contact on lap 1 with Twinkie, who's right now behind him. And after that, well, it seems like the race is going downhill from him. Meanwhile, his teammate is still on P13 defending for the tags of Holt, really great close, and Rez as well on Cherry.
Yeah, we also have this little duel starting to brew in the, well, for the last point position in this one. Gabox currently half a second behind Maxime B, who Maxime has really fallen off of the back of Casquito. So maybe struggling a little bit compared to his teammate in these tricky conditions. But he's doing well to hold off Gabox for the moment. As Carmel, I think that's the closest he's ever been on like any previous lap. 3.5 tenths. As Zamis calls it there in the pit lane. A very, very unfortunate race for him. Hate to see him go, but no, I can't exactly blame him after the race that he's had tonight today.
Really, really intense and disappointing for him. I think he was expecting more than this, and well, I hope he has more luck next race on Spa.
Yeah, hopefully he's still in the voice chat with his lovely teammate Strifium, cheering him on, as Strifium is actually having quite a decent race himself. Still sitting there in 13th place as the fastest laps are continuing to fall. We had S King take one, then Cejos, and then Rhapsody. So 1, 4, and 6 setting the fastest laps of the race so far on that previous lap. The track is continuing to evolve. Looks like Cejos is starting to struggle a little bit, runs a little bit wide at the exit of turn 4, as does Arnhel, and Arnhel 3 seconds. That could be a big news once again.
Rez now on the inside of turn 1 on Chiri. Seems like a pretty easy move. Chiri left the space there. Seems like he knows that Rez has the pace, and Rez will be pushing hard now to get told. But it's up into P15. He's doing he's gaining ground. He's gaining ground, but he's still a little bit slow. He really needs to push. He really needs to push because he knows he has the pace. He was there. He was up there on the top 10 positions, but now after that mistake, he needs to really pay it.
Yeah, just trying to get as much ground as possible after that unfortunate mistake. Looks like Carmel, that gap is sort of fluctuating between 3 and 7 tenths. But they are starting to really use a bit of that battery. Carmel down to 30%, Becky B down to 20%. But Cejos and S-King both sitting around 80-90 at the moment, so they have quite a bit of pace left in the tank should they need it. And yeah, that could really play into their own as this rain lightens up, because as the rain lightens up, the ERS gets a little bit more difficult to manage as well. So these guys are going to have to really start thinking about the long game and really trying to conserve some of that battery if at all possible. This is a yellow flag.
Chiri.
It's Chiri. Yeah, Chiri having a little bit of an issue now, down into 18th place. Gorziak and BTFU getting past him as BTFU making his way to the inside of Gorziak. For turn 1, it looks like the AlphaTauri getting his nose ahead. Chiri having a little bit of a look as well up the inside, but isn't quite going to be enough to get past the Mercedes driver.
Not yet after that mistake. Doesn't seem likely. Now Carmelesson very, very close on the leaderboard. This is again, asking going a little bit wide on turn 13. I don't know if that was a mistake or just doing another line for that corner. It seems like he had a good exit though. So right now asking still holding that P1, and it seems like he will be doing it a long time, but Cejos is sending a huge undercut.
Yes, Cejos into the pit lane for the McLaren crew, all smartly dressed in that papaya orange. Looks like a good stop for the American McLaren driver. Making his way down the pit lane now. Another one who's going for a massive undercut is Holtz, trying to get ahead of Strifium with that undercut.
Gabox as well.
Yeah, there are actually quite a few pitters. Gabox into the pits as well, following his teammate a lap later than what Holtz did. So those two Alfa Romeos looking to try and get a massive undercut on their respective rivals. And Maxime B still left out for dry, it would seem, in that little scrap for the final point.
Cejos is really, really pushing. He really needs to, and he knows it. He knows he has to push. I don't think the Inters were really suffering on traction or were on lap 15, But well, an undercut is an undercut, and you really need to push it to make it done. I think he can go to the end with these tires.
Well, there you have it. Bido, Tier 1 driver, master of the tyres, says that these intermediates, once you pit, can make it to the end of the race. So we'll see how well that holds up. And it looks like Carmel might have heard you, Bido, and he is now heading into the pits as well. So the first of the top three into the pit lane, trying to get that undercut. And we'll see where he comes out, does the Haas driver. 80 kilometers an hour down that pit lane to the Haas garage. Let's see how the stop goes for the Haas driver.
I have to tell you something. 2.5 seconds one seizures on that lap respectively to his teammate. Oh my god, what an undercut. What an undercut.
Wow, so Sejos is really starting to fly on those fresh intermediate tires. But Karma, we had a little bit of a look there. That was an absolutely dreadful stop for the Haas guys. I don't know if there was actually wing damage that he was repairing that we didn't see. But that was a long pit stop there, Bitter. So definitely has his work cut out for him. But these fresh intermediate tires are definitely flying at the moment.
2.5 was the pit stop for Carmelesson. But it seems like he rejoined so far away for Caesars.
Yeah, he was stationary in that pit box for a long time. So I don't know if he was just falling asleep at the wheel or something. We'll never know. But that could be his race over, as S King looks like he's making his way into the pit lane, as is Becky B. So the other few runners are responding, but not Angel. Angel has stayed out, as has Rhapsody as well. Fizimon coming around that final corner normally, and Yama looks like he is continuing normally as well. So both Williams... Oh, actually no. Scratch that. Yama isn't pitting to double stack with his teammate. Cosquito into the pits as well. And we'll see where Sejos comes out in relation to these guys. It's actually going to be quite close as he sets the fastest lap of the race so far. You can see on the right-hand side, there's S-King, there's Becky B. Sejos has jumped him. Can he find S-King into turn one? S-King has the inside line coming out of the pits. But on those cold intermediate tires, can he find the grip that he needs? Yes, he can. S-King stays ahead of that McLaren, but Becky B has one more car to worry about. It looks like Karma might have put himself out of this fight, but Sejos has slingshot himself right into it as well, Bitter. So these two very close going through turn 4.
They just changed their positions. Sejos was, I think it was before this pit stop. Right now Sejos, I think, is in a net pit stop, just behind S-King. Just, exchanging the position with Karma.
Yeah, I do believe it is a net P2 for the McLaren driver. Karma 4 seconds. 4 seconds away from Becky B, so whatever happened in that pit stop has cost him dearly. But a great stop there from AlphaTauri, Williams, and McLaren. And a great outlap as well from Sejos to really put himself between these two leaders. It looks like Tom Hoff might have a little bit of an issue on those older intermediates. He's also positioned to Maxime B and to Gabox as well. BCFU also right on the back of Strifium. Strifium doing well to hold on to that 13th place, but he might be undercut by those around him as Yama heads into the pits. But Angel and Rhapsody, as well as Fizimon, all staying out as Karma sets the fastest lap of the race so far on 1 minute 26.9. BT up the inside of turn 13. Bido, this could be trouble, but it looks like he's found the grip as Strifium heading into the pit lane to get off of those intermediates and put a fresh set on, as so many of his competitors have done before him.
I think these leaders only want to be on fresh air, be pushing on their pace. Probably they think they have more pace than these leaders, and they don't want to get involved on traffic. But as it stands, I think if they pit, they will be rejoining just behind them, or probably even behind Carmelesson. So I don't know how powerful is the undercut, but Sejos on his first outlap was really pushing and gaining against the other drivers. So he did very good those two outlaps, because it was not only one, it was two. And then there you have it. It seems like P2, a net P2 for the McLaren driver.
Yeah, Seajoss will play that undercut to absolute perfection. But what's still puzzling me, Bitter, is that we're now halfway through this race, and the top three have stayed out yet again. So they haven't really gotten that track position, and the gap is tumbling very, very quickly to these net leaders. 9.6 seconds is now the gap between S-King and Fizzymon. The gap between third and fourth on track at the moment. But S-King, he's pulling away from Seajoss, showing that even though he hasn't been on the circuit for a little bit, that he has certainly got the pace as Stryfium makes his way past Rez. Maybe a little bit of a mistake from the Australian, but Stryfium now up into 15th place. Very nicely done.
Yeah. You really need to be there when a driver does a mistake, and you have to put the nose there just ahead of your rival, and while gaining those places, as you can see Strip doing that. Do we have a yellow flag? That's Tomahawk.
Yeah, it's Tomahawk, the racing point. We saw him spin there in qualifying, and he's now done it in the race as well. Fortunately, he's still got the car running, but he's got a lot of wing damage on that right-hand side, and he's going to have to do that. Drive with that damage for an entire lap before he can get that replaced. Gorzieg looking up the inside. And I do believe, I dare say, Bitter, that it's a fairly easy move. As Rhapsody, the first of the leaders, at least in this stage of the race, to come into the pits. But Angel and Fizzymon both staying out once more.
I don't think this is a good idea. I think the undercut will be massive for the Mercedes driver. I think even Yama, who was behind him by a couple of seconds, probably can undercut him. Well, I'm not sure about that now. I see you going to rejoin just behind camera.
Yeah, Lakama well and truly ahead. He hasn't lost as much time as I thought, so props to the Brazilian for keeping the pace up on those worn tyres. Maybe, they just have a second life, if you will.
Well, he has closer than 1.5 seconds between him and Becky since the mistake on the pit stop. Now it's 2.5, it was 4.0 if I'm not mistaken. So right now he's really showing the pace he has on this wet track, as well as Rhapsody is just flying and trying to catch as well this trick.
Well, meanwhile, back in the battle for what is now 14th place, as Tomahawk has a little bit of a mistake. Rez still pushing to try and find a way past the Ferrari of Stryfium. He doesn't quite have the straight line speed to get the move done, but he is certainly a lot later on the brakes. But he's now right up that gearbox, 2/10 in it. Can he make a dive into the second corner? He's going to go for it, does the Red Bull driver. Full Daniel Ricciardo style. Stryfium looking for the switchback through turn 3 now. They're side by side. Rez is the inside line. Stryfium gets forced out wide onto the AstroTurf, the tarmac on the outside there of turn 3. But Rez makes that move stick. So that is quite an important move as Stryfium loses the back end, but fortunately, unlike his teammate, is able to keep that Ferrari out of the wall at the exit of turn 5. But what a move, what a dive from Rez in that Red Bull.
Very, very late braking for him. He really likes it, and he did it perfectly executed. Now up into P14. He pitted already as well, so he's really going to the end and pushing right now. VTF is staying out as well as both leaders. Probably is hoping for a safety car.
Yeah, well, Angel making his way through the end of the middle sector, through turns 10 and 11 now as we speak. He does have that little green wrench in the bottom of your screens on that MFD, so he is signaled to come in, but I believe that's been there for the past 5 laps. So we'll see if this lap 21, is the magical lap, and it is not.
Mexican really likes to stretch those inserts, and not only the inserts, I think the stints in general, as his fellow Mexican driver Checo Perez. So I really think Angel will stay out till the tires say, well, you can't go more, and just all of this time waiting for probably a safety car or something that can really play on his favor today.
Yeah, we haven't really talked too much about the safety cars. We had, I do believe that incident on lap 1 should have been at least a virtual safety car, as Rez picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's already pulled about a second away from Stryfium. Current gap is about 8/10 hovering around that 1 second mark, but that 3 second time penalty is going to hurt him. But yeah, I don't fully know why these two are staying out. If they're trying the zero stop, I mean, that's quite the stretch. We saw how much the tires are struggling, and you can still see how much these net leaders are gaining. The gap now down from 9 seconds to 4.9. So just under 5 seconds between Fizzymon and S-King.
I don't think this is a non-stop. Like, he's really pushing. He doesn't seem like he's actually saving the tires. As Gauziak spins out of turn 13, is a yellow flag. Only a second. Oh my god.
It's a safety car. That's called a safety car, and you'd be a fool not to come into the pits now. And yes, Arnhel straight into the pit lane. Fizzymon will, for no doubt, follow him in. Fizzymon stays out.
Oh, what? Why?
I don't know, but Fizzymon has stayed out. S-King, CJOS, and Becky B all staying out. No surprises there. Cherry, Twinkie, Gorzieg into the pit lane as well now, but Fizzymon has stayed out. And where is Arnhel? This safety car has helped him. And where is it going to be? It's going to be right in between Becky B and Carmel, and he has a 5-lap fresher tires as well. So those tires won't be dying towards the latter stages of the race. But ladies and gentlemen, a safety car after a spin from Gorzieg at the penultimate corner on lap 22 of this race has really meant that this field is going to be condensed all the way up. I'm absolutely puzzled as to what Red Bull are thinking on that pit wall, leaving Fizzymon out there, because now the field's just going to bunch it right back up, and if he pits now, he's going to be what? Out of the points.
I mean, is the win or being on 7th place or 6th place? I think he was going to rejoin, probably 7th. So I think he's really pushing for that win on those tricky conditions and risking it. Well, before settling on a 7th or 8th position. So I don't blame him. It's a very bold strategy, as VTF just rejoins on 12th position. He didn't lost anything of the pit stop. It really helped him as well after the crash on turn 10 he had on the full wet tires. So well, I don't blame Fizzymon. He really needs to try something different. But if he pitted, he was probably saving some points for Red.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about this as much as well, but Striffium is the last car out on track yet to be lapped. Cheery is sitting right in between S-King and CJOS. It's the two net race leaders, because I really don't think Fizzymon's going to the end on that set. There's no way that he's doing a zero stop on intermediates.
I mean, well, as Gauzy retires on the pit stop, sorry, on the pit lane. But I mean, it has been quite a heavy rain, so these intermediates have had water to cool down, and probably not wear that much as expected, as we saw Angel doing 20 laps, and well, and CEST undercutting on lap 15 and trying to the end recently with a second stint of 20 laps. So probably these inters haven't been wearing so much, as I said, but that was probably on the first stint, because now we see the rain easing up a little bit, and probably, well, it's a different thing.
And Silver Track, there's actually looks like, I think that might just be Gauzy's AI car, so it gets removed at the entry of turn 2. But all these guys are into the pits getting fresh intermediate tires, except for Fizzymon, still on that starting set. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Misfits Racing League. My name is Mikhail. Joining me all the way very, very late at night is Alex Bitto from Spain. If you are enjoying the race so far, be sure to leave us a follow and hit that the notification bell to know when we're going live. Next race will be the Tier 2 race for the Hungarian GP for those Tier 2 guys. That is tomorrow at 8 PM BST for those in the UK, if you're still up watching this wonderful and wet America's race. And that'll be 3 p.m. for those of you on the east coast of the Americas continent. As Cheery making his way into the pit lane. So CEST, I think a little sigh of relief, no longer having that lap car in between them. And looks like Cheery retiring there in the pit lane. Very, very unfortunate to see him go. But,
I think.
Yeah.
I think was. Oh, who's that? Off track. I think that was Tomahawk who's lapped as well. I think it just went off track to not have contact with Casquito, as the rain is really, really light at this moment. Almost like no raining, at least on my screen. And well, it seems like I don't want to say that, but probably dry conditions at the end, and that probably can be a possibility of why Fizimon stayed out.
It certainly has gotten lighter. There's only a few sprinkles. There's certainly nowhere near the dry conditions just yet. But it isn't really falling that heavy. You can see just a few drops here and there, and it's just the spray and the standing water still there on the track. But if this is what Fizimon's game plan was from the start, oh my goodness, that is even more big brain than Casquito last week, Bitter.
But the traction will not be there at the moment, so probably he will lose some places. He only needs straight line speed and a good exit. That's the only thing he needs. A good straight line speed and a good exit out of turn 14, a good exit out of turn 1, as we have from race control. Our safety car will be on this lap. But well, coming back to the penalties, 3 second time penalty for Angel, 3 for Yama, 3 for Gabox, WTF here on Res, 6 for Twinkie, and 3 for Tomahawk. And this can really affect to Angel and Yama, probably Yama even losing the points.
Yeah, safety car is in this lap, so we will have a 10-lap sprint to the end. As you can just see ahead of you, the safety car peeling its way back into the pit lane, so it's up to Fizimon as to when he pulls the trigger. You see S-King taking a wider entry to open up the last corner as much as he can, and he's really done it. He's right on the back of Fizimon as we go green flag racing. He's side by side with the Red Bull as they come across the line, and S-King has that inside line. And it looks like later on the brakes, the Chilean pulls the car up in time, so he has already cleared that Red Bull, and CEST as well trying to make his way past the Red Bull as well, looking for the outside of turn 2. Fizimon a little bit earlier on the brakes to avoid hitting the McLaren. It looks like Becky B might be trying to follow him through as well, poking his nose into the inside of turn 3. It's not quite there for the Williams. He's looking around the outside of turn 4 now, Bitter. He's trying to find any way past this Red Bull, as we have a beautiful helicopter shot of this action, but he can't find a way past.
Amazing defensive action for Fizimon out of turn 2 and 3, as well as the entry of turn 4. Becky did try everything he could, as somehow had a 5-second time penalty for ignoring blue flags. At this moment, down into P16, Becky's just on the back of Fizimon trying to get the better exit. Now Fizimon blocking everything he can. Is a podium for him at the moment, and he will try to hold it as much as he can.
Well, CEST has already pulled 1.5 seconds away from the Red Bull driver. Just the difference in these instances of night and day, and as I have a racing point, I do believe that's Tomahawk. I don't know if he's just getting out of the way there for the blue flags, or he had a little bit of an issue there, but Fizimon really struggling. 2 seconds now is the gap, and Becky B, he needs to find a way past. He needs to find it quickly, as BCFU has had a bit of an issue. But we're going to stay on board with these guys, and Fizimon so much later on the brakes covers the apex. Can Becky B find the switchback that he needs? Fizimon, has he found the traction in those old intermediate compound tires? A little bit of a tap on the side pods between these two, but Fizimon is not letting this Williams go easy, and Becky B has to work for it as hard as he has. Outside of the turn 4, Fizimon, and there's contact between the two. Becky B going off track, and that's allowed Angel through, as well as Karma. And Becky B now down into a net 5th place.
Yeah, and as well taking that place, and Rhapsody locking the fronts to not hit Fizimon. Casquito is just behind Rhapsody as well, who seems like he's not having the best pace here on the grid. I don't know if he has some part of damage, but it doesn't seem like, at least visually. Fizimon right now on P7, so I think the strategy is messed because if he beat it on the safety car, he would be on the same place as he is right now, but with fresher tires.
Yeah, it would have been sort of around where Yama was on that safety car race, like the should if he if he did pit under that safety car. Rhapsody looking up the inside of turn 13 now. Comes the outside of 14. And he might just try and open up the corner as much as he can. Focus on this exit. You can see him double short shifting up into 5th gear. Overtake on for this entire main straight. Using the slipstream, Fizzymon goes extremely defensive. A defensive masterclass from Fizzymon at the moment. He's really making it so difficult for all these drivers to get past him. Rhapsody, though, alongside at the exit of turn 1. Has the inside for turn 2 now. Casquito right behind them as well. He might be trying to follow Rhapsody through turn 3 now. They go side by side now between the Renault and the Red Bull. You can just see this front wing shot. Fizzymon slightly ahead. Casquito has to back out of it. Fizzymon running a little bit wide off the track. And Casquito looking around the outside of turn 5 now, Bitter. And just the grip difference between the tires is night and day. Casquito, a lovely move up into 8th place.
Stop raining. It stopped raining. And right now, Maxim as well will take that place. Still side by side. Fizzymon, it's impossible to defend without that grip. Guy will also try to do the same to go into that top 10, but losing the rear a little bit. Trying to do the move.
Oh, Rez has got damage. Rez in the other Red Bull car has got damage, so yeah, Rez already having a pretty difficult race. Now, is he just going to hold it out until the dry conditions? I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, Fizzymon is not at least. Fizzymon is spitting right now.
And it's a double stack. It's a double stack for the 2 Red Bulls. It shouldn't be too bad,
unless someone retires of them. But I really don't know. The rest has a lot of damage. Somehow, after retiring, no, it's not the time. It's surely not the time at this moment. I think it's the same situation as Rosenius on tier 3. He pitted too early. He didn't have any option. Only pitting for inters or pitting for dries, and he's doing that. We'll see the gap if he starts again. But he's sliding on tier 1. He's really sliding.
No, it's nowhere near the time. There's still so much spray being kicked up by these leaders who have used the little roadblock that was Fizzymon to absolute perfection. S-King in the leader thing. C-Joss only 7/10 behind him. 2 seconds is the gap between themselves and Angel for the final podium place. As Angel losing the rear there out of turn 11. Oh, don't scare me like that, mate. That could be very, very scary very, very quickly, Beto.
Yeah, Angel with 3-second time penalty. As Res, I think it was lost the car even with the intermediates.
Oh, he's broken his wing
imagine.
Again.
And it's full red. Oh,
safety car. It's a safety car.
This is the same situation as tier 3. You really don't know what is going to happen with the track, if it's going to dry up or not. So these drivers will try to take the risk to go to the dry conditions or go to the inters. And I think,
S-King's behind the safety car.
As I saw in tier 3, this could be for dries. But as S-King is behind the safety car, all this grid will be bunched up, and pitting will be even more risky than not pitting, in my opinion. But it only depends on how quick this dries up.
Well, it has stopped raining. I've been in a similar situation before myself, and the right call, at least in that case, was to stay out and have that track position, because these guys have to remember there's only a few laps left. So even if they are on those fresh, soft compound tires and they do have the massive pace advantage, they still need to get through this grid in what is only going to be about 2 or 3 laps. So I think the right call, even if it does go dry at the end of this race, is to stay out. But of course, I'm not there in the cockpit of those cars. I don't know what the weather's going to do and what the track is going to do.
And how it feels.
Yeah, that
we really don't know how it feels. Doesn't seem like the spray is massive, at least on my end. Probably it's because I have the particles off. Yes, could be that, because on the stream it seems a lot of spray. I
think they should stay out.
Yeah, I think they should stay out. But if you're like Fizzymon told or Rez, who's now pitting
Yeah,
and
if
just
you're out of the points, it's worth the gamble, I feel. To put on those dries and maybe snatch a few points, should it happen. But it looks like most, if not all, of the grid are staying out. You see Rez there putting on the softs. It's very, very stretches. But there is a McLaren in the pit lane. That is Maxime B.
that's goodbye points, I guess, because look who's in pin. Who's on points? It's Trifium.
Trifium now, that does promote him into a points position. Gamox has that time penalty as well. We'll have a quick look at the penalties. I do believe they're all 3 seconds, and that they are. So all drivers with penalties have only 3 seconds. But yeah, that's going to be absolutely disaster for Angel, as well as Yama and Gabox, who are in those points positions. And Angel, he had that, a little bit of a gap back to Karma and Becky B, but now that has closed right back up, as has the CJOS and the S-King after they were able to clear Fizimon fairly quickly on the safety car restart.
Oh, Maxim crashed. He was sliding on turn 1, he was sliding on turn 3, and now I don't know if he has damage, probably the barrier is glitching, but yeah, no. This is not for soft.
No, definitely not. I mean, it was worth the gamble for these guys, but if you are these guys who are on the softs and have taken that gamble, do you come in this lap and put on the intermediates, like just put on another fresh set of intermediates? I
don't think I have time.
They are going around again.
Oh yes, Rez is still there. So yes, if I'm Maxime, I have damage. I know how much is lighting the track. I mean, or you can just pit again and put another set of inserts, because of softs, because if you really want to go on the reverse strategy than everyone else, so you really don't care if you crash, you only want to be on a different strategy of the others, so it's just waiting for the track to dry up, if you know what I mean. The only thing that matters when you're on the bottom 4, as you can see on these drivers with the softs, is that you are on a reverse strategy, so probably the only thing he wants is to be there and not right now being on the intermediates, but we will see what the McLaren driver really wants to do.
Oh, he is coming out. Yeah, it does look like the intermediate tires. So he's putting on a fresh set of inserts. Said nope, the softs are absolutely dreadful. Getting that front wing replaced, and he will only lose 1 spot to Fizimon, who was really up his gearbox anyway under the safety car. But Rez still a fair way back, and I do think the safety car will be in this lap regardless. I don't think it will go around again. So I don't know if Rez is really going to be able to catch up to the safety car, especially in these what is still damp conditions. But the spray has gotten less. There is less spray coming off of those intermediate tires of S-King. So the last lap, maybe lap and a half, could be dry running, but I don't think it's going to quite be enough. But if Holtz and Fizimon are able to stay close to the back of BTFU and Strifium, they could really see themselves snatch a few of those fringe points, Beto.
Yes, they could, but as safety car, it's in this lap, but I think Maxim did 2 mistakes. One was pitting for subs, and the other one was not pitting again for subs. But we'll see on this restart, because right now he's catching the rear of this train as he's getting throttle locked. But now asking, I think he has not lead every lap of this race, but
he's been in the net lead.
He has been on the net lead all of these laps. He will be doing this restart as a reserve driver for AlphaTauri. He really likes this car, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really does. He takes a wide line again out of turn 14, and he's absolutely nailed that restart. 7.5 tenths already between himself and CJOS. And there's been an accident between Rhapsody and Casquito on the restart. Those two now both out of the points. Oh my goodness, Trifium's up to 7th. Angel up the inside. Looking up the inside of CJOS into turn 2. Sorry to just cut you off there, Beto. But these guys are all very, very close. S-King 1.2 seconds out in the lead of things. He has absolutely nailed this restart, but CJOS has a lot of pressure mounting behind him. He doesn't have Angel, but Karma and Becky B all less than 3/10 away from the car in front of them respectively. And oh my goodness, these guys are really starting to struggle, and there's basically zero spray now on those intermediate tires.
I told 0 points in the championship, so they can be the day, and he's now on the points. He's on softs, and it seems like the softs are working at the moment.
They're working. He's gaining so much on Becky. Oh no, not Becky B, on BTFU. He's gaining so much. You can just see the grip difference. This is the crossover, and there goes Holtz to the inside for turn number 12. And he's going to make that move easily past BTFU now. Strifium, is he going to make a switch to the inside? No, he can't. BTFU is still there, but Strifium boxing the Alfa Romeo inside. There's contact now. He's going to make it 3 wide. Up the inside, there's contact between himself and Strifium. And Holtz now through. Oh my goodness, and that is the lap car of Fizimon, actually. No, it's not a lap car. It's Fizimon on those softs. He's making it work as well. Oh my goodness, this race has been absolutely completely flipped on its head, Biddo. 2 laps to go, and S-King 2 seconds out in front, but these guys on the inters are really starting to struggle. They're starting to overheat massively. Angel losing the rear out of turn number 2. Can Karma find the grip that he needs to really make a charge? No, not quite, but Holtz and Fizimon are charging through this field, Biddo. This is absolutely insane.
Scholz is in a net P5 at the moment. Yama and Angel, both Mexicans with penalties, and look, Yama's lighting out of turn 5. Look,
oh my
who's there on
goodness.
the inside?
Holtz up the inside. He's now up into 6th place, and he's fighting the championship leader. The driver with 0 points to his name is about to overtake the championship leader with 221 around the outside of turn 10. Holtz, the Canadian, is on fire. Look at these softs. They're just working. They're working to absolute perfection. He's looking up the inside of Karma now. He could be on the podium, Biddo. He could be on the podium.
He's on the podium. He's on the podium. He's on the podium.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. There's a tap. One more lap to go. He's in third. He's in third. Could he win the race?
He can win it. He can win the race. He can win the race. He's on P2.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. 1 lap to go. DRS enabled. There is 0 spray on these intermediate tires. Sejos has no choice but to let Holtz go. 8/10 is the gap. S-King, yes, he can't do anything. Holtzman is in the lead of things on the last lap of the Hungarian Grand Prix. I'm losing my voice, but this is incredible.
I can't believe it. I'm shaking. I'm shaking. It's 4 a.m. I'm shaking for a race. I am Americans and Fizimon up into P2 overtaking S-King.
Oh my goodness.
Whole race. Fizimon 3 seconds high penalty.
Oh my goodness, Fizimon, he has 3 seconds now. He needs to build a gap, but look at the gap to S-King already. 2 seconds, Biddo. 2 seconds. These two have pulled an absolute masterclass. And now Holtz just needs to keep it clean for the last few laps. And Strifium's in the wall. Oh my goodness. What a race we have witnessed here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Holtz. Oh my goodness, he's struggled all throughout the season. 0 points to his name. He's come close a couple of times before, but as he rounds the final corner, Fizimon with that penalty, it is Holtz for Alfa Romeo. He is going to win the Hungarian Grand Prix, and Fizimon taking the fastest lap as well. An absolute strategic masterclass. They did the gamble, and it's going to work. S-King on the podium for AlphaTauri returning. He led basically the entire race.
He was almost lapped.
And Rez P8.
Oh, I can't believe this is the race you had today. Oh my.
I'm speechless. What a race.
This is racing, man. This is racing. And that's why we are here.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Crosses the line and takes the fastest lap.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Misfits Racing League. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, these guys, we were questioning it, Biddo. We were questioning it. There was still spray on those intermediate tires, but they went for the gamble, and it worked. Holtz, I think, was 12th. I think he was 12th on the safety car restart, and he comes to lead the last lap.
I told you. Maxim did 2 mistakes. One was pitting for subs, and the other one was not pitting for softs again. He's really
Wow.
regretting about this.
But there we go. Driver of the day, Holtzman. No one. I think absolutely nobody can argue with that one. The top spot of the podium for the Canadian. Oh my goodness, what a race. Fizimon P2 as well. And S King, I mean, he still drove phenomenally, but it just... Yeah, I'm speechless. Absolutely gobsmacked at that result. Just what... Oh my goodness. We need to have an interview with him after this race. Absolutely insane. Insane drive from 17th on the grid. 17th on the grid, and he comes to win the race. And 3 pit stops as well. And that goes to show that never give up in racing. But Holtz takes the race win. His first points of the season. He gets the full 25, Biddo. Absolutely incredible. Fizimon, the only other driver to gamble with him. He stayed on those intermediate tires, went for the softs, and he is rewarded with a second place. S King, who was in the net race lead basically the entire race up until the last lap, will come across the line in third place for the Pirates in his reserve capacity in the AlphaTauri car. Sejos, fourth place for the McLaren driver. A great drive from him. Karma in fifth place. The Argentinian Angel holding off in sixth place. Becky B in seventh. Rez with that gamble as well. Almost a lap down, like Biddo was saying. Comes across in the points in 8th place for the Pirates squad as well. Yama in 9th, and BTFU will take the final point in this one. Rhapsody just missing out there in 11th place. Gabox in 12th, taking the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 18.081. And yes, that is the actual fastest lap. And yeah, and Stryfium in 13th. Unfortunate. He had the points in the bag and just lost it at turn 5 on the last lap. But Alex Biddo, do you have any words at all to describe that race that we just saw here tonight?
No, actually, I don't have it.
Oh my
To be
goodness.
honest, I don't have it, and thank God we have the interviews because I guess they have it. So we're
Yeah.
waiting
I mean,
for them.
I already see our race winner Holtz waiting there, sitting there in that waiting room. I'm just waiting to see if Fizimon or S King want an interview. I do believe S King normally doesn't come for the interviews, but we'll see if Fizimon comes as well. We'll just give him a few moments. But oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen in the chat, what a race we have just witnessed today. An absolute classic. I mean, we've had classic races in the past. You know, we had Emerald Tier 1 Season 3 China. That was a classic one. We had Season 2 at France. That was another classic. And Biddo, I think we just saw another Misfits Racing League classic here today.
I think this will be remembered a lot of time from now, and I really don't have any words. I really don't have any words. This has been amazing race, and this is why we love this. Is for things like this.
Well, I'll let you speak to the second place finisher, the runner-up, Fizimon, as he now joins us in the interview room. Before I hand it off to Biddo, Fizimon, what an up and down race for you. You stay out there on those aging intermediate tires and you just fell like a stone off the restart. But then the second safety car onto the softs, just wow, what a race. Biddo, take it away, my friend.
What a race for Fizimon. What were your thoughts when you pitted for the softs on the safety car? Did you really thought it was going to be dry enough to make it work?
So my thought behind it was when it stayed out original, my wear was that on the and was like, all right, well, as well get ready safety car. I was talking to see what happened because I reviewed for a weather report during the initial safety car where I was leading it, and he said 5 minutes to rain, 5 minutes till it end, 5 minutes till the end, and I was just like, all right, I just got to take a chance and just pray that it goes my way, and I got lucky. So that's all it really came down to.
So you took the gamble, well, it really paid up, and I really don't know what to say. That race was just so much action. There's so much action that really don't know how to describe it. Do you have any word for it?
Fun. I think it was a lot of fun because for the longest time on the inners, I was just like, I'm just lapping, doing what I can, and it was fun. But then at the end there, having to go through the whole field on those fresh softs was so hard. I was doing my best to keep my nose clean, but especially on the last lap and a half, I was dealing with guys who were losing the rears because they just didn't have any grip on it, and it was kind of like driving through a parking lot out there. And I'm lucky to have made through it, and congrats to Holtz on getting through first and winning it. Like, damn, that was fun.
It was really fun. It was really fun, right, Mika?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations, Fizimon, on what is a very. I think, after we saw you stay out at the first safety car, no one, absolutely nobody, would have thought that you would have come across the line on that podium place, but you did in the end. So congratulations and all the best for next week around Spa.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've been waiting for. Holtz, 0 points all season, and now your first points here in MRL, and it's the full 25. Congratulations, my friend. Just what emotions are you feeling right now after those 35 laps?
So thank you very much. Yeah, the last few laps were pretty wild. I was the heart was beating a little bit there on the last couple of laps, and when I saw we started the final lap, I think I was, I don't know, P4 or P5, and then got two cars into turn one, and then I think I ran around the outside of somebody at 3, but I didn't really realize how close I was to the win until halfway through sector 2. Engineer comes on the radio and just says, cruise easy to the finish, and I'm like, what? Cruise easy to the finish? I look up and I'm P1, and I'm like, oh, let's go, boys.
Well, just an absolute incredible drive. And, was that always the plan? Going onto the softs at the safety car, just going for that gamble and seeing if it worked out?
Oh no, that was completely improvised. When the second safety car came out, I was maybe 100 meters from the pit entry, and I knew it was drying, and I figured that by the time the safety car came in, the track would be dry enough. So I said, let's go for it. Let's put the softs on, and that first outlap behind the safety car with the slicks on when it was still a little wet was a little sketchy, but yeah, though that was totally improvised.
And well, I'm pretty sure that you and your team are very happy that you did make that call, and it ultimately got you the race win there. I mean, everyone was. I mean, I can speak for myself and Bitter. We were absolutely just like, oh my goodness, this is happening, because you've come close to points before. I think from memory, I think France might be one of them. There are a couple of races where you got close to maybe finishing a 9th or a 10th, but I don't think, I mean, no disrespect or anything, but I don't think anyone was expecting you to be a race winner here, in this season, because, Becky B and those front runners have been incredibly strong, but, this is racing. This is racing, and you came away with the race win, and this will certainly go down in the history books. Just is this going to change your approach at all? Does it maybe boost the confidence a little bit heading into Spa and Monza and beyond?
I mean, yeah, in terms of pure pace, with this group of guys, I'm probably P14, P15 kind of place where, maybe if I get real lucky, I could get some points. And Baku and Monaco, I was kind of, just teetering on the edge, but it didn't work out for one reason or another. But yeah, it's definitely going to boost my confidence. I'm still, I'm not going to be a regular point scorer, not unless I get a whole lot better at driving. But yeah, it's certainly a boost to confidence, and a nice one for the boys in Alpha who have helped me out along the way. It's my first season league racing, so they've been a big help. Trin and Scars and all the boys in Alpha. So big shout out to them too. Thanks.
Well, congratulations again, once again from me. This interview has gone on long enough. A bit. Do you have any words for our race winner here this evening?
I really don't. I really don't. Just big congratulations, and I'm really sure everyone who watches this back will enjoy it as much as with it on the live coverage.
Yes, yes, definitely watch back the last few laps of that safety car restart. Absolutely insane. Well, congratulations, Holtz, and I'll now go and let you celebrate it with the rest of the guys here in the Discord. So congratulations once again. Well, Bido, that is going to about do it. We've had two absolutely crazy, crazy Hungarian Grand Prix thus far. And oh my goodness, if Tier 2 and even Tier 1 are anything like this, boy oh boy, are we in for some great shows this week, eh?
I don't want to have a heart attack while driving, man.
Maybe not Tier 1. Have it a bit easier for yourself there in Tier 1. But just before we go, once again, a massive shout out to all of you lovely viewers in the chat that could join us for this historic race. Absolute classic, absolute masterclass from Fizzymon and Holtz, our top two today. But also those who were able to capitalize. I mean, Rez almost being a lap down at the safety car race, at the safety car, and able to claw back to 8th place. Just an absolute masterclass from those who took the gamble onto the softs. But yeah, a massive shout out as well to our partners Next Level Racing. If you're looking to take your sim racing experience to the next level, !NLR in the chat. They've got some great sim rigs for Formula style, GT style, whatever you're into. So !NLR, and be sure to give them your support, and we thank them for helping us grow the sim racing community. Be sure to join us at 8 p.m. BST, so for those of you in the UK, or 3 p.m. for those of you on the east coast of the Americas, for Tier 2 action, and it's sure to be quite the thriller. Bido, any last remarks before we end the stream here this evening?
Really thanks to everyone watching, and I hope you have a very good week, and we hope to see you tomorrow.
Yes, we most certainly do. That's all from us. We'll hit you with the outro, and we'll raid a lovely member of the F1 community while we are at it. But that's all from us, and have a wonderful night, ladies and gentlemen.